Greetings, everyone. Yes, it is Linda Talaferro from the T, the Extra Effort. This is Being Brown at Work, and of course, it's my favorite time of the month. It's either the first Tuesday or the third because we have a wonderful opportunity to meet some powerhouses out here that are changing the game, changing the landscape. And this young woman if you were lucky enough to get with us part one, you met her then. But if you weren't, you can catch it on the replay and make sure that you tune in, get your notepad and notes for part two, because it's going to be just as phenomenal, if not maybe even more phenomenal than part one is. Part one was. Let me tell you a little bit about Keri-Lynne Shaw. Keri-Lynne Shaw is the founder of the Salary Bump, empowering professionals to own their worth, navigate career transitions, and secure the pay they deserve. As a former chief people officer with extensive HR experience, KL has helped countless individuals articulate their value, negotiate effectively, and achieve transformative career growth. Her approach blends strong strategy, authenticity, and actionable tools that create win win outcomes in both salary negotiations, which a lot of us are terrible at. Let's just own that, and career achievement. Through her program, KL inspires professionals to take the driver's seat in their careers, design the paths they love, and unlock their full potential. Welcome back, KL.
Hey, it's great to be back.
I'm so excited. I mean, part one was everything, out there on LinkedIn, the comments, the messages, the DMs I got afterwards. So I know people, I mean, okay, part one was the why. And of course, they needed to hear that. But they were like, look, can't wait for part two, because what is game changing? I want to know what the game changer is. But before we dive into that, KL, let's just revisit briefly, what is the why? I mean, you shared, I thought it was beautiful, some of your experiences as a people officer and why you started your company. So if you could revisit that for everyone, then that'll really give the foundation of the why.
Yeah, sure. So, in my role in HR, and look, over my 30-year corporate career, there were things that I didn't do well either. So, I watched people do three things badly. One, they didn't network well. They didn't focus on their network. If they had a network, they didn't necessarily foster it. So that was number one. Number two, they didn't interview well. And by that, I mean they weren't able to answer the question, tell me about yourself. They weren't able to story tell and talk about their impact. And number three, negotiate. So I did two of the three beautifully, networking and telling my story and sharing my impact. But I, like many other women, didn't negotiate well. I don't think I told this story last time, but I remember getting my first corporate job, and I called my dad, and my dad, it was so cute. I said, Dad, they were relocating me from Arizona to New York. It was with General Motors. And back then they relocated people like crazy. And they sent me a
Yeah.
check in addition to paying all my closing costs, movers, packing me, unpacking me, everything. They sent me a check for incidentals. And I was in my 20s, and the check was $42,000, Linda. I thought,
Okay, wait. For incidentals?
so GM went bankrupt a few
Whoa.
years later. So let's be clear. Perhaps that was one of the reasons. But um,
Right.
I got this check, and I called my dad and I said, Dad, like, this can't be right. He's like, that's not right. There's got to be an extra zero on there. I said, I know. I said, he goes, don't cash it. I said, well, I'm going to cash it, but I'm not going to spend it. Turns out it was perfectly appropriate. But my relationship to money was not scarce in a sense, but it was more like just be grateful, work hard for everything that you get,
Yeah,
be grateful for what you have.
yeah,
And so I didn't negotiate then. I was in these big conglomerates for 17 years. I didn't know I
yeah.
could. I had a car, I had insurance, I had gas, I had pensions, I had what I thought was a decent salary. I literally did not know that I could negotiate. And I think I know I'm not unique. The amount
No.
of people, of the thousands of interviews I made over my career, I would say the numbers were more around like 15 to 20% of people negotiated, and that's it. And I expected you to negotiate. So I used it as part of your
Mm,
interview. Like, I want to see how you show up in these conversations. And so
mm,
watching these people do these three things not so well, I realized that there's something really important here. My mission is to
yeah,
do my part, Linda, to close the gender and racial pay gap. So this is very important to me. But I know that there are men and women that struggle with this, and we are leaving way too much money on the table. And in this market, you have to knock the interview out of the park, and you have to use your network, or you will not be finding your next job, because there are millions of people doing the same thing you're doing, job posts, job boarding, and crossing your fingers.
yep,
There is new
yep.
and fresh ways to do this, and you can't afford not to in this environment.
No, for sure, KL. And that's why, for me, little did I know how timely this was going to be. Our engagement, our meeting each other, and you being on Being Brown at Work, because you're absolutely right. The industry, that what's happening right now, it's even so much more critical that in those three areas that everybody is like, I mean, on their game 100%. So in all three of those areas, right? Because it is a different world right now. And the most important piece of what you said is the networking piece. I mean, because I know that I wouldn't be in my career, frankly, where I'm at today if it weren't for the people that were in my network, the people that I knew, the people that got to know me. And so, extremely important. But I don't want to leave what you just discussed, because I will tell you the same thing in my career early on. I didn't negotiate. When that offer letter came in, I signed that thing, that bad boy, real quick. You know, I probably turned it back to him either the next same day, next day. And it wasn't until much later in my career that I learned the power of negotiation. And first of all, that I could do it. And then when I did the reflection, I thought, gosh, Linda, how much money have you left on the table over the years, right? And there's so much you can negotiate. It's not just the salary alone. There's other aspects of the offer you can negotiate, right?
Yeah.
Which is why what you bring, your program, and the fact that you started your business is so extremely important, so sorely needed. And so, with that, we're going to forget about the why right now, and we're going to jump into those key three areas, KL. And let's start first with networking. I mean, or I'll let you start because you're the expert. In one of those three extras, where somebody should start locking in now, and what should they do now that they haven't done or do better than they've done in the past?
So I want to answer one quick thing before I jump into that. You said
Okay.
you don't even want to know how much money you've left on the table. Well, I know, and the number is between 1 million and 1.5 million
Oh God, see,
over
I
your
told you
career.
I didn't want to know, KL. I said,
Well, you
I,
should know, because Linda, I'm in that boat with
oh,
you. And so it's been really interesting because several of my recent clients, 5 of my recent clients are in their 20s, and I'm so shook by it because they are taking actions that you and I didn't take by learning these skills now, so they won't be leaving that on the table. That's how we
yes,
that's how we close the gender and racial pay gap,
it is.
is
It
that we do
is. You're
this much
absolutely
earlier.
correct.
So it's
Yes,
and that
yes.
includes men as well, right? If you don't
Oh, sure.
negotiate,
Yeah,
the number
absolutely.
the number of
Absolutely.
people that negotiate is less than 40%. It's not a big number. There's a lot of people leaving money on the table. So
And
we're
in
changing
what
that.
you said, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the fact that you, as an HR professional, expect people to negotiate.
I'm shocked when you don't. And it's people need to know that. And
Wow.
statistically, 87% of the time that you negotiate, you will get a yes. Maybe not all of it, but you will get something.
Sure.
You mentioned it earlier. There's so many things beyond salary that we're negotiating. I mean, there's a list of 20 line items. And actually, I believe if you go onto my website, you can get it for free. It's one of my freebies that lists all of
Ooh,
those.
ooh.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
hey, don't miss that. If you're listening, go to the website and get that little free nugget.
yeah.
Guarantee you after tonight, though, you're going to go beyond connecting with KL on that free nugget. But that's okay. Thank you for
Uh,
that, because that's sure
Thank you.
necessary.
So I want
Yeah.
to come back to networking for a moment. So I did
Okay.
actually a TikTok video about it yesterday and on LinkedIn today about the the critical. So I'm talking specifically right now to people who have just been laid off. but this is for everyone. It is never too late to start building your network. And that's within your company, that's outside of your company. You have got to start talking to people and fostering this network and fostering these relationships. Whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, it doesn't matter. It is crucial. 80% of jobs are found via your network. So if you are not doing this, you are going to have a much slimmer chance of finding your next role. I don't know that I think I actually, every single job minus one, I found through my network. People tapping me on the shoulder, Kale, I want you on the team. Kale, I think you'd be great in this role. And they hired me for, it was hardworking and I executed, but they hired me more for my attitude
Mm.
inside the companies that I worked in. So building your network, it starts with being in a meeting and somebody's presenting and being inspired by them, and then sending them a note afterwards to say, I so loved your talk today. I'd love to learn more about you. I'd love to have a coffee. Are you open to that? That's how I built my network inside companies. Outside companies, LinkedIn is your absolute number one place to find people. So whether you're in a job or you're currently unemployed, instead of looking for jobs and posting for those jobs, 20% likelihood that you will even get a call back.
Wow.
Instead, research the companies that you're interested in, research the titles that you want to be in, research the job leaders who you would be reporting into, research the heads of HR, research recruiters, everyone in the space that you're going after, and start reaching out. Send a cute note that says, hey, I'm on the market. I think the work you're doing is amazing. This is my secret sauce. Here's what I bring. Would love to get to know you. Would love to learn more about your company. Send out as many of those requests as you can. And all it takes is connect, add a note, but be strategic about who you're going after.
Sure, sure.
Lead them to coffee, and just open a Calendly or a Google Meet. There's free ones, and get as many people on the phone as possible. That's how you network. And then at the end of every
Wow.
one of those calls, Linda, your call to action is, this conversation was amazing. Thank you so much. Based on it, is there anyone in your network that you think I should meet? That opens more doors. That's a warm introduction. And now your network is expanding. And then once you land your next job, every single person that you met along that journey gets a note from you separately, thanking them for taking the
Mm.
time. Thank you for investing
I
in me.
love
Thank you
that.
for opening your network. And you stay in touch with these people, because now this is your new network that you've just
Yes.
created. Don't sleep on that. For the next time, you're now ahead of the game because you're having conversations on the regular. And
Right.
one other thing I will add, you're also asking, how can I support you? I have a beautiful network
Mm.
and I'd love to introduce you. Is there anything you're working on? And I can introduce you to people. It's a two-way conversation. You're getting to know
Yes.
each other. It's not just what you can do for me because I'm unemployed. Like, tell me your story. I can't wait to hear who you are, what you do. Then you talk about yourself, and I'm telling you, it is absolutely game changing. 80% of jobs are found this way, people. It is the most important thing you can do right now.
So, Carrie, let me ask the question that I'm sure people listening right now are thinking or asking or want to ask if they could jump in this conversation right now. Cold hitting people up like that, that's cold. Sending those messages cold works,
Hell yes,
or
it does.
people are a little turned off by it, or people think, how dare they send me this message? I don't know them. Let's be, seriously.
Linda,
You're the expert. Does it
if
work?
that's the response, they're not your people.
There we are.
You're not going to get a response from everyone, and you can't
Thank
control what
you.
the person on the other end thinks. But if you send someone a note and say, I'm obsessed with your company, I've been following you, love the work you're doing, I would love to have a coffee and learn more about you and get to know each other. I'm on the market. I think I bring great value. There's not that many people that brave doing it anyway. So you're not getting
That's
that many
true.
DMs. That's number
Very
one.
true.
The other
Very true.
option, if you're not at quite as cozy, comfy doing that, you can also see of these people, are they active on LinkedIn? Are they posting on a regular basis? If they're posting, comment on their stuff, like every one of their posts, ring their bell for all,
Mm.
and you will see every time they're posting. Same with the companies that you're interested in. Believe me when I tell you, they will see that you are commenting and engaging on their stuff. So then when you slide into their DMs, it's simple and easy. We're all just
I'm
human.
so glad you answered the question the way you did, because I agree with you. If they if they don't respond, or you get a negative, you know, comment or something, they're not your people. And I will tell, I mean, what you I can't even express how much value you're giving right now, because I will tell you what I was shocked with when I actually was recruited by one of the exec search firms. And when I was in the process of interviewing for this role, what I was surprised about is how much the company knew about me from my LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
presence, that they had actually been following me, that they actually, so the reverse happens too. So
Yeah.
that's why what you're saying, for me personally, I'm hoping for everybody that's listening, if you don't believe it, I'm telling you, what she's telling you is so true. They they will follow candidates that they're out there looking for, because they will passively recruit. I can't tell you the number of times I've been passively recruited. And therefore, if you did the same thing, it sparks interest and connection.
Yeah.
That is invaluable, KL. I mean, it
Yeah.
truly does work. It
It
truly does
does.
work.
And you should be posting on LinkedIn as a thought leader, period. Period. Whether you're
Yes,
employed or unemployed, you have a voice and you have something to share, and somebody will be grateful to hear it. You have a
yes,
special sauce.
love
You
that.
have so much to share. Like, don't just reshare an article. Get on video and say, I just read this amazing article in Wall Street Journal. Here's my take on it.
Yeah,
I read Fast Company Morning Brew. So every morning I get the
I like Fast
creative
Company.
juice.
Yeah.
So there was a post about Intel and their new CEO, and the CEO is under pressure to turn the company around. So his first line of action was to cut 26,000 heads. And of course, as a former CHRO, that just made me furious. So I decided to do a video to the CEO of Intel. I was like,
I know. I
I just
saw it.
read this story about the CEO's first line of action of cutting heads. Here, my friend, is what you could have done instead, and I saved him billions of dollars just by freezing your open job cards. It was between a billion and 1.8 billion. Why didn't you think of that first, dude? Like, why? You know, you're not
Yeah.
building trust by doing this. And it was a bit of a cheeky video. It wasn't like attacking him or anything, but I read an article, it fired me up,
Yep.
and then I did something about it. You are reading articles all day long. You
Hmm.
can write a post about it. I just read this in, fast. I just saw an article about so. Here's my take. So interesting. Get on LinkedIn and start
Yes.
building a following and a presence. You cannot go wrong. Really, it will get you the exposure
Totally
that you're
agree.
looking for, and it could
Totally
change your
agree.
life.
Yes, absolutely. That's there you go, right there. I mean, networking is absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. Okay, so now let's talk about interviewing, because we all think we're so good at it, KL. I mean, we go in and we just regurgitate that resume, to no end. And we make sure that we give all the KPIs, all the, different things. We just, we're so good at it. We all believe this. We all do. We all
Yeah.
do.
No, we're not. The mistake people make. So this is one other little nugget that I'm going to leave you. I have a 22-year-old daughter who is just starting her career, did some really great internships. I have already helped her create her impact sheet, basically, and it's an Excel spreadsheet of all of the things that she has accomplished so far, and we're doing it in the STAR process.
Uh-huh.
So what was the situation? What was the task? What was the action? What was the result that you took? And, the result could be save the company X millions of dollars, turned around negative customer situations, created customers for life, whatever. that she's starting to build her impact list now, because those answers and the star is how you're going to respond when you are
Yes.
in an interview. And 10 years
Yeah.
later, you forgot all the great things that you did. So not everything on your impact list needs to be listed on there, and not everything are you going to use, but you have to have examples to connect the dots when someone asks you something in an interview. Well, let me give you an
Absolutely.
example. When I was in the role of director of la la la, here's what we did. Here was a situation. Here's the action, and we were able to flip it on its head and, you know, save the company X amount of money.
Right.
You have to learn how to story tell. And even before you get to the storytelling, the first question you will always get asked on a date, in an interview, in a networking is, tell me about yourself. And
Yep.
if you can't
Yep.
answer that, you want to know what most people say when I ask that question? They go through their resume. Well, you know,
Resume.
I'm currently this and I do that. Like, snooze fest, boring. I am not. I can read your resume. I want to know you. Tell me about you. What
Yes.
lights your fire? What are you really good at? How are you making an impact on the world? That's what I want to know. So if you can't draw me in that first 2 minutes,
Mm.
I'm snoozing.
Mm.
Linda, these people are interviewing hundreds of people a week.
That's right.
If you
That's right.
can't stand out, and I'm telling you, it's not that hard to stand out, bring energy. I mean, I meet about 20 people a week. I'll get on calls with people and it's like, dud, you know, like, like there's no energy. Come on, like bring
Right.
something. You are trying to show your best. If you're networking or if you're
Yes.
jumping into an interview, have a cup of coffee, do something to give yourself a little edge. If you're not a high energy person, you won't
Right.
pass
Right.
go if you don't. So there
Wow.
isn't anything more important if you are looking for a job than tightening up the interview process. Focus on the controllables. You can only focus on what you can control. Networking is one, putting yourself out there and prepping like you have never prepped before for these interviews.
Yes.
Practice in front of
Yes.
your video, record yourself, watch yourself back. It is the best investment of your time. Learn how to do it in a really skillful way.
Oh, that is invaluable because I can tell you I've done exactly what you said in the
Mm.
interview when someone says, "Tell me about." I've done that before early in my career. I go right to the resume. I go right to the roles I've had. I go right to that. I wasn't thinking that they really are interested in me. And so I'm sure that the opportunities that I may not have gotten, it was because I was, they were snoozing. They were like, okay, on to the next, right? So that is invaluable. That first 2-3 minutes of setting that right first impression before they continue in that interview conversation. And I will share this. I've had some of my clients before say to me, they ended the interview in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and that's probably why. KL, that's probably why.
Yeah.
That the early indication was, okay, this person is not for us. I'm not interested at all. And, not a good team fit, not a good culture fit, not a good company fit, whatever it is. And I'm sure, I would bet you 9 times out of 10, it was because of that first question that they would have
Or
asked.
that, yes, yes, or you're not conversational,
Oh, there we
right?
go.
Like, all
Yes,
right, well, so
yes,
how
yes,
does it
yes,
work in your organization? Talk to me about, your
yes,
customer care team. What are the things keeping you up at night? You're asking questions that then you can then pull in some of your expertise to solve some of those problems. Every interview should be conversational. You've got really bad interviewers out there too. Like, let's be honest, you could
sure,
get a dud
sure,
as
sure,
as an interviewer as
sure,
well. But
sure.
I, there's just nothing more important than working on how you show up. And I also have a list of my favorite interview questions, which I'm happy to send to anyone. If they're not on my website, I'll send them to you. Just DM me. You should have always questions to ask. You need to
Mm,
understand. Talk to me about,
totally agree.
what does it feel like working here? What don't you like about working here? What are the challenges that your organization is facing? What are the biggest wins that
Totally
you've
agree.
had? What has your career been like? Talk to me about, how your values, how do you live them? How don't you live them? Like, there is so many things that you can ask,
Yes,
because you're going to
yes,
work with
there
these
is.
people eventually.
Exactly,
So if you don't act
exactly.
like a human, Good luck. It's not going to
So
work.
true. Oh my God, that's so true. That's so true. Okay, so look, this is crazy because just like part one, freaking time just like just blows
Well,
away.
we
I
can't we
don't
can't
want
forget to get to the salary stuff because that's the
exactly. That's
nuggets
what I
that
want to
is
get to,
okay.
right? Yes, we want to do the salary piece, but
Yeah.
I want to talk about, yes, that's what I want to talk about right now is the
Okay.
salary bump, right?
The Salary Bump is my company. I launched it because of those three reasons. And it
Yeah,
actually has turned into two additional products, the Career Bump and the Exit Bump. I
there you
specialize in
go.
helping people exit proactively, which is really, really, no one knows that they can do that. And because I sat on that side of the table, I know it can be done and successfully. I teach you how to do that. I had a woman reach out to me at an event after and tell me she was thinking she was going to retire, 35-year career. I'm like, don't, let's talk. And we got her $2.3 million. It's it's incredible. So the exit packages, some companies will play ball, some won't. There's no guarantees, but I'll tell you,
Sure.
asking for a proactive package is huge. But let's talk about the salary bump. So the salary bump, there's a couple of mistakes that people make, and you will get asked a question early on with a recruiter or with an HR representative. What are your salary expectations? The question. It is the worst question they could possibly ask for a few reasons. Number one, it's not just about salary. It should be, what are your compensation expectations?
Compensation.
Number two, you know nothing about this company. They may not be publicly traded. So how do you know what their revenue is? How do you know the number of employees? You don't. You can do as much research as possible, but you have no idea what their compensation philosophy is inside the organization. You know the title
Wow.
and the job description. You don't have those details. Every company, it's a free for all. They can do whatever they want salary wise.
Yep.
Your answer to that question should always be, listen, walk me through what the comp philosophy is here and talk to me about what you budgeted for the role. You shouldn't answer that question before they answer it, if at all
Oh my
possible.
God. That, okay, all nuggets tonight, but I'm gonna tell you what, KL, I know you know this. That right there is a jewel beyond jewel because everyone answers it.
Yeah.
Everybody gives a
And they
they
say,
feel like
well,
they're
I make
obligated to.
this. I make
Yes,
150,000. I make 100,000.
right.
Don't do that. Don't ever share what you make. Don't
They,
ever share what you make. And don't ever give a
wow.
number. If you do, in fact, have to, they back you into a corner and they are making you give a range. Give a range, not a number. Make sure you've done your homework prior. Obviously, I'm here to support you, but you can go on ChatGPT. There's a link called Salary Navigator if you have the higher versions. You can also research. You can salary.com.
Wow.
There's
Yes, yes, yes.
Glassdoor. There's many sources out there that will help you to pull together what a proper range looks like.
Yeah.
If you give a range, the lowest number on that range should be the number you'd be happy with, the highest being the number you'd be over the moon with. And you
Yeah.
should try to get into the mid to high end of that. How do you
Okay.
position yourself? Or, what you can say is when they give you their range, they say, well, it's between 100 and 140. Great. So talk to me about what the person on the high end of that range looks like.
Ah,
That's your response, because then all of your answers are going to tie, so that
to that.
and like you've already positioned yourself at the high end of the range. And so when they make you the offer, oh, when we talked earlier, we talked about what a person looks like at the high end of that range. And, these were my responses. I see
Yes.
myself at the high end of that range. It's just, you're planting these subliminal seeds as
Yes.
well, but these are really important questions, because why shouldn't you be at the high end of the range?
Exactly. Exactly. And why box yourself in to your point when you know nothing about the company? Know nothing about the company.
Exactly. And then beyond
Nothing
the
about it.
salary, Linda, you've got bonus, you've got equity. Those are the
Yes.
three big ones. And then you've got cars, insurance,
Yeah,
gas,
you got car
tuition
insurance.
reimbursement,
Yeah.
childcare,
Vacation. Yeah, all that.
PTO,
There's all kind of things.
coaching, professional development.
Yes.
You might want to pay for different communities that I'm part of. Many of my clients that hire me for the salary bump, we include my career bump 3-month coaching is part of their package because it's a career transition. So I then
Yes,
help them
yes.
onboard and transition in their new role as an executive coach. So these are the things that we're negotiating in. I've negotiated airplanes. I negotiated with this beautiful, oh, it was such a beautiful experience. An automotive technician, we got him a 40% raise, only a few more dollars an hour, but we got him a car, we got him insurance, we got gas, we got him and his wife's healthcare fully paid. We co-created a bonus structure that they rolled out. He was a master technician. Dealers cannot afford to lose technicians that are like turnover rate is more than
Wow.
50%. We negotiated the most beautiful package, and it was like custom created. They loved him. He loved them. He didn't want to leave. And so they played ball, and we got him a 40% increase. And we
And
got, I
see,
think, 3 additional weeks of PTO, which as an hourly worker, do you know what that does? That's money in your pocket.
it's money in the pocket. And see, Kay, I'm so glad you're sharing these examples with everyone because people think that if you only have a certain type of title on a potential business card, can you negotiate at that level? But clearly not, because he had skill that that company wanted. He brought work, like in your bio, helping people understand their worth. And we
It's,
do not. We leave a lot of it on the table and we don't even think I can negotiate insurance. Absolutely. I can negotiate. Yes. Last year at Being Brown at Work, I had a guest on and she was in the insurance space and she mentioned that.
yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, wait a minute. I didn't even know I could do that. Right.
You know what else,
I mean,
Linda?
there's so many. What?
Severance. You should negotiate severance in your new
Up
contract
front.
with the market the way it is. Director and above, I always recommend that it's not as likely below
Wow.
director level, but negotiate severance, a minimum, or whatever the company's standard is.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. Sign-on bonus. I helped a woman get $315,000 in a sign-on bonus because she was leaving stocks on the table, and they paid her stocks out for 2 years because they wanted her that bad. She was a unicorn. All of these things add up. And then
So
one
many
last thing I would
things.
say is don't ever stop investing in yourself. Or like if you want to go and get a certification, I got a coaching certification. I asked my company, would you pay for it? Yeah, sure.
Right.
You want to go
Right.
learn AI? Go, what are the hottest things on the market that people are looking for? And then go get certified in those areas because then you become more marketable for your next opportunity and get your company to pay for them. And if you have a great relationship with your boss, why not say, hey, I want to bring this to the organization. I think it would be really helpful. I found this program. It's an AI skills cert. It's cost $5,000. Would you be open to pay for it? Heck yeah, they will because you're going to bring it to them and you can still take it with you.
Yeah. Invaluable, KL. I can't express how much this month has been spending with you on being Brown at Work because it's really helping us understand, what is truly out there that we were either not aware of or for some reason thought it couldn't apply to us, right? Because of titles or, where we are on the org chart or, because we're hourly versus salary, that kind, all the nonsense we tell ourselves, right? And so I'm so glad that I'm honored. I'm not just glad, I'm honored that you were willing to be a guest because this beyond invaluable information. I'm telling you out there, can DM her on LinkedIn. She will respond. You want to connect with KL, Keri-Lynne Shaw. You want to connect with her. You want to go to her website. She's got some freebies out there, but I'm telling you, if just like she said, if you have been laid off or if you are in a situation where you're ready to move on, or if you are trying to figure out your career, you want to connect with KL because what you don't want to be is me who left $1 to $1.5 million on the table in my career. You don't want to be that, right? And
Yeah.
then at the same time, too, you want to have a career that you love and that grows, that continues to grow for you. KL, it's been such an honor. Thank you so, so very much. Can't express how much I appreciate you.
Oh, it was so fun. Have me on anytime. I loved it so much.
Oh yeah, you'll be back. That's for sure. Take care, everyone. Until next time.